Good morning, everyone. So today I will be doing my report all about positive psychology, and I will try to do my best without the use of visual aids. Now here we go. In the early days, psychology was only about research. They wanted to see how reflexes, perceptions, and behavior work. Now, psychology has three aims. One is to treat and cure mental illness. The other is to research again. And then, lastly, is all about uh, supporting prodigies. Now, mental illness became a very popular topic after World War I and World War II. And why is that? Because back then, after the war, soldiers became traumatized after each event. Some would even experience PTSD. The symptoms would be that if they ever hear a clap that is very loud like this, they might be able to remember the explosions and the wounds that they have inflicted. Sometimes, even if they're recovered, they can feel the pain wherever the wound can be. Now, back then, in order to treat them, they believe that if you can take away their depression, you would have a happy person. Now, that is not really true. And here's why. Because today, we now learned that it's not the way how we should treat people that way. Here's why. In 1998, Dr. Martin Seligman researched and studied that depression can be learned. Now, he tried to do the same treatment to other people for those that were traumatized, but he asked, what about optimism? And that's how he created the new field of psychology called positive psychology. Now remember what I said, that if you took away a depression from your patient, you have a happier person? No, that is not true. Why? I'll give you an example. If you don't have cold, it does not mean you're optimally happy. If you are angry, it does not mean that you are being negative in a way. And if you don't have a problem, it does not mean that you are joyous person or a very vibrant person as you are. And that is why positive psychology is also known as the study of happiness. Why is that? Because we use positive psychology to apply in fixing people with, and also trying to see life and try to choose a better careers for them that makes them happy. Now, positive psychologists conducted research on joy, grit, gratitude, and so on and so forth. Learning positive psychology is also very important in how to express emotions. For example, what Dr. Tal Ben Shakir, an Israeli positive psychologist, once said, the permission to be human. He created that quote, and what it means is that in order for us to be human, we must be able to express emotions. And it is important to express disappointment, sadness, and anger. But also it's important to be happy as well. And studies have shown that for those people that have expressed that have expressed their emotions, they have become more happier in their happiest individual selves than their depressive counterparts. And now, psychology back then cannot express emotions. Now, we can express our emotions. People who have researched any kinds of topics about positive psychologies is that they're trying to learn any mechanisms that could affect and change or alter their lives for the better. Now let me ask you a question. Why do we need to research more about happy people? That is true. But how many times have you passed by people who are very angry and would even blame the people around them just because the world is unfair to them? Well, it might be true, but those people needed to know what it feels like to be able to learn these kinds of mechanisms in order for them to be not only to reward themselves but to reward others as well. People would always remember you by how you treat them, and that is really important. And because of that, people are now would gradually look forward, and studies have shown that they have better sleep quality after learning these kinds of mechanisms. And Dr. Seligman once said, positive psychology should be prescriptive rather than descriptive. Rather than doing research on what increases happiness and telling people what to do with their lives, positive psychology should describe what topics can do to them. Should describe these research on topics rather. Now, William James is not a psychologist, he is a philosopher rather. Why do people believe that he was the very first positive psychologist? It is because of his deep interest of subjectivity of a person and objectivity in trying to study through optimal functioning. He believes that in order to thoroughly study a person's optimal function, one must know the subjective experience of a person. It means that if you want to help someone or you want to study someone's optimistic personality, then you must know what it feels like when they experience the same experience that you have gone through. Second would be Abraham Maslow, the creator of the hierarchy of needs. And because of his theory about the needs that we wanted to have for ourselves, we now learn in how to motivate ourselves to achieve something that we want, as we call the meaningful life in our journey for this lifetime. And third, you might already know Martin Seligman, as I have already discussed his work. Next would be Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the Russian positive psychologist. If you read his name, it looks as if it pronounced Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, but it's actually Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. Now, a brief history. Mihaly had a very rough past when he was living back in his hometown, because he was the three among the four brothers. Now, two of his brothers were sadly passed away when he was very young. One died in the siege of Budapest, and the other died by being sent to a camp by the Soviets. You know, the very interesting fact about him was he got into learning psychology back then when he met Carl Jung, when they were talking about his opinions about UFO sightings. I didn't know extraterrestrial can be somewhat correlated to psychology. Now, you of all people might already know the concept of flow. Why did he created the flow? He said a person can make himself happy or miserable regarding the fact of what could change the contents of conscious of a person's life, which means a person can be happy or miserable, or they could even, experience it at the same time, being happy and miserable, hapsirable. So now I don't have the graph, but I want you to try to imagine that I am drawing a graph here. So in this graph, in this height, this is the challenge, and here is the skills. Now, have you ever have an experience where you focus on one thing, and then when you focus on doing this kind of activity, you cannot help but continue this experience longer and longer until you lose concentration of what is going on around you? I might give you an example, is that I love doing videos, and I love making videos about myself. I love making videos of singing. It just seemed like after I did those kinds of activity, I somewhat have lost track of time. And weirdly is that I am more thirsty than hungry. It's a mystery, because I am more hungry than thirsty. And that experience is called flow. And if you can manage these kinds of activity that you are having right now, you have made your life something as if you have a purpose in your life. But there is a warning. In challenge, sometimes if you cannot take the challenge, it can go up. While here in skills, if you got bored and feel less motivated to do or practice your skills, then you are bored. Do you know sometimes if people were either bored or stressed, they would either watch or be on their cell phones? That's another part of we're trying to move away from, which is creating apathy for ourselves. Apathy is right here, right here. Apathy does not make you, it does make you happy, but it does not optimally make you happy. If you can manage for, trying to learn skills or rise to the challenge, then you might have experienced the flow ecstasy, which is the upward here. Flow ecstasy, which could maintain your happiness. Whether challenges can be difficult, whether the skills that you are about to learn is hard for you or new to you, it does not matter, because you are not afraid to take up the challenge by yourself. Give me a P. Give me an E. Give me an R. Give me an M. Give me an A. And now, you have won 10,000 pesos. Just kidding. It's a Shopee. I have to go back to try and play Shopee Shake mamaya. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is, we're talking about PERMA model that was created by Martin Seligman. Now, what does PERMA stands for? Positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishments. Okay, so now I have tried to... Sorry, there is a lot. So, okay, PERMA. First, positive emotions. Now, what does positive emotions do? Of course, you have to express your emotions. I will give you an example. Have you watched the movie Inside Out? Is it really right to make a person happy always? Actually, it is not. If you remember the movie, Joy tried to prevent sadness from being near to those conscious of Riley. Riley is the human, and the emotions are in her head: joy, sadness, fear, anger, envy. Because she believes that if Riley is sad, then she won't be happy for the rest of her life. But she realized that being sad it should be meant to express more about themselves, rather than hiding the fact that they're happy all the time. And being sad means that you are human. Now, next would be engagement. It refers on how well can you engage with other people, and how well can you engage with them in terms of you engage with them through laughter, through having a good time, and you maintain your engagements with them in order to be an engaging person. Now, relationships. You have to keep your relationship as close as possible so that you can have a social support. Whether it is the support that you needed to be motivated for, let's say you want to pass an exam, you needed their advice. That is an example of social support. Now, the M would be meaning. It answers the questions on what is the purpose of your life. There are various societal associations that you do with your life, whether it is family, whether it is religion, whether it is about achieving your dream. Then lastly is about accomplishments. How important accomplishing something is to you. I'll explain this with my experience. I was never a very academic person myself. I consider myself a very average student back in nursery through high school. I never achieved anything academic till my senior high. And why do I rather be happy than being, this kind of stereotype, which is an honor student, which is you're always studying anything? Why is that? I don't want to do that. I want to enjoy my life. And it does not matter that whether this person right here achieved more awards than me. You know why? I want to be happy. And whatever makes me happy makes people happy. Sorry, I have a very sore throat. Thank you. So, is study all the time. Study all the time. You really need to experience life. Getting a certificate, it's just a piece of paper. It does not define your hard work. It does not define your positive emotions. What defines you is yourself and how you put yourself out there for the people, that they will see who you are. And I believe that. I believe I'm meant to be happy, whether or not I'm successful or not. You're gonna see me for quite a while and get used to it. So that is my report on positive psychology, and I hope you can follow me in my journey in trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. And also, my channel name is called The Mask Samonji, and my real name is Piolo Pascual. Thank you.